All right. Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
what's
So I
happening,
mean,
plebs? We out here with another episode of History of the Yu-Gi-Oh Player, and this time it's kind of a different one because it's not technically a player; it's more of a system or a platform. So today we're talking to AntiMetaman, who is one of the developers on YGOPro Percy currently, and he's going to give us a little brief rundown of YGOPro as a system, where it's come from, and give us some juicy tidbits of knowledge on how it's been progressing over the years. So, first of all, hello, how are you? Would you like to introduce yourself to us?
hi guys. So yeah, I'm AntiMetaman or AM as most people call me. Um, so I'm part of the Percy team. Um, so thanks for having me here on the channel. Um,
Of course, anytime.
uh, so where should we start?
Well, I guess you kind of come into it a little bit around about the middle more than anything. Maybe go to the beginning of the actual automated systems itself. Um, you weren't obviously there for the very, very beginning of YGO Pro, but what was the very first automated system and just online dueling platform that we had? I mean, we had like the really old stuff back in the day. Can't even remember the fucking name of it now. Um,
Okay, so I mean, there's official simulators and there's non-official simulators. The first non-official simulator, I'm not. I think it was probably like a Chinese one. um, but like I mean, I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh like from the GBA games. Um, that I actually only play online Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh in real life. Um, I just don't have the time to buy cards and collect them, and go to the card shops and stuff. So I just played with emulators and ROMs for a long time, and then Konami actually came out with a game called Yu-Gi-Oh Online. That was the first official like automatic simulator available for Yu-Gi-Oh, and it was almost exactly like Yu-Gi-Oh Pro. It came out in 2004. There was a beta in 2004, and they discontinued their service in 2012. So that game was actually like it was almost like real life because you had to buy booster packs. And when you open the booster packs, you get the cards, and you have to trade cards online with other people. And so there was a whole online meta game there, and there was official tournaments, and they had YCS online as well. And it was a completely different, like it was really cool. It was one of my favorite games of all time. But after 2012, when they discontinued the service, I kind of like quit Yu-Gi-Oh, because I just didn't feel like there was nothing else that could really replace it. But I did find out about Yu-Gi-Oh Pro uh,
Before you go
later
into
on.
Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, I mean, was this?
Yeah.
I've like when you stream on Twitch, for example, it says what game are you playing, and all of us, like for all of the history, sorry, all of the Yu-Gi tubers, like we just use like Yu-Gi-Oh Online, but that game
Yeah,
you
so
said doesn't even
probably
exist
when
anymore.
Yu-Gi-Oh Online was really, yeah, so probably when Yu-Gi-Oh Online was really, really old, somebody probably added that game on Twitch or YouTube.
So is it
So
really that good?
yeah, you can watch videos on it on YouTube. There's one channel called Dual Logs. They have character animation. So like for example, if I'm drawing a card, it will actually show my avatar drawing a card. I don't know if you've ever played the Tag Force games on PSP. Um, like there's it's almost exactly like the PSP stuff.
Mm.
They have you select an avatar, they show you drawing a card, they show you summoning a card. So there's like different animations, and for like even sync or summoning, there's a cool animation for that.
Right. Okay. Cool. So where did the Yu-Gi-Oh Pro come into the picture? Was it did it start after online went down?
So for me, I thought, well, I quit Yu-Gi-Oh for like 2 years after 2012. I missed the whole Dragon Ruler era stuff, and um, so this was like around the time when 5D's Synchro era was there. This is before XC's, and then I think in 2013 or so, I found out about Yu-Gi-Oh Pro. but I was still like new to it. I just downloaded it and I played it a couple of times, and
But it was
all
up and
my
running
decks that
by
I
then, right? Wasn't it?
yeah. So Yu-Gi-Oh Pro was like invented in 2012, late 2012 by a Chinese developer named Fluorohydride. Um, and then the other developers that were English, they took the code and they made their own version of it. So the first, one of the first versions were like Percy, and then there was also Dawn, Dawn of the New Era. So Percy, is like from Netherlands, and Dawn of the Era is like from Canada. So there's like two different clients, and then people from the Dawn team, they split up and they created their own Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, and that was called Dev Pro. I think this happened like in 2013 or so.
Right.
And
So
then
just so people watching are up to speed and understood, a lot of people, myself included, at least for a while, got really confused with regards to DevPro, YGOPro, Dawn, Kaiba Corp, and like all these different like online simulators. What exactly is the difference? What should we know when it comes to like these things? Like what like because when I first started playing, I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go online. So I was like, I didn't really know too much about DN like that. Back then, I was a bit of a scrub, so I was like, you judge calls, I can't be bothered with that, whatever. So I just thought, okay, I'll use an online simulator, and
mhm.
I just got DevPro because it was like, I think that was like the most popular. But then I realized like one of my friends had a Mac, and we couldn't play against each other for some reason. So
Uh-huh.
I had to download YGOPro to be able to play with him. Um, and I didn't understand what that is or why because I'm not a computer person. So can you like tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about like the differences and like how it came about? Like why didn't everyone kind of just
Yeah,
team
sure.
up or what? What was that about?
Yes. So like I was exactly like you when I was new. I didn't know about Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, so I went online to Google and I tried to find out what are the differences. And then, I went to like Pojo, and there was like posts on Pojo about Dev Pro versus Yu-Gi-Oh Pro. So I actually tried all the different Yu-Gi-Oh Pro sims. I tried Dev Pro, I tried Dawn, Salvation, My Card. There's a lot of them. There's like six main ones. Um, so I mean, I got used to. At one point, I thought Dev Pro was my thing, so I used Dev Pro for a while because Percy was being slow at updates, and I wanted new cards to test my decks and stuff. So I was using Dev Pro for a while. Um, for me, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Percy was more simple. It's like I just opened it up. It just comes out of the box. It's ready to go. There's no launcher associated. Like when you open Dev Pro, a second window pops up. You have to log in, and you need the email verification, and then you have to go then duel and make your decks and everything. So it was just like an extra step. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Percy, it's just like even without login, you just duel. So it was easier for me. And back then, I was just like, I just want to duel. I don't really care about all the login and other stuff right now. Um, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Percy, it didn't take much memory on my computer. It's pretty lightweight. It's available for Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, and iOS. So pretty much everything. Um, and so I just use Windows, but I got used to that. Um, and another thing was that Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro had anime cards and manga cards. So I mean, I played TCG OCG for a very long time. I've been playing it. Um, I've always been playing TCG OCG. I've been making deck buildings like my main thing. I love deck building. I created all kinds of decks, but I never had a chance to actually look at anime manga cards. So it was kind of cool to explore different kinds of formats and see new cards. So Percy had that opportunity. So I saw that, but I mean, I still play TCG OCG primarily, um, and um,
So in terms of like computer terms, what exactly was the difference between DevPro and YGOPro? Because I believe they're not hosted on the same servers, and you can't cross interact. Well, at least for the longest time you couldn't. Um, what does that really mean in practical terms for people? And why did like no one kind of like speak to each other or be like, hey, let's team up, or that kind of thing?
Because well, each Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro team has its own owner, and each owner has their own ideas and opinions on how they want to run the game. So each owner will make their own server for dueling. So Dev Pro has its own server, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro has their own server. But there's also a third party, a guy named Checkmate. He created his own server called Checkmate, and that's a ranked server. So DevPro back in the old days was able to connect to Checkmate, and so was Percy. And so almost everybody used the Checkmate server. It was pretty fast, and it had rankings. Um, Now Checkmate has actually upgraded its server, and DevPro can connect to Checkmate once again. So if people are on Checkmate, even if you're on DevPro and the other person is on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro or Percy, they can actually duel each other using Checkmate, because Checkmate would be the same server even though they're using different clients. There's a way to actually, if you type !challenge spacebar the username, you can challenge anybody on the Checkmate server, and the duel will begin. So that's one way that a person from DevPro can duel a person from Percy.
Right, cool. Um, doesn't that interfere when you have like people on different clients with the same name?
So Checkmate has its own login system, so you can't have the same name on Checkmate.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so Checkmate has a password and login system. You just type in any username and password, and you automatically get registered. So no two people can have the same name on
Right,
Checkmate
I see.
ranked. Yeah.
So when it came to developing the program and improving it and maintaining it, etc., how did you get involved with that?
Well, I was just like a regular player at the time. I was just making decks, and I posted my deck recipes on the forum, and I just helped other people with their decks. Then after a while, I guess I got more into it, and I was like, hey, why don't we have this in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro? Why don't we have that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro? How can we actually implement this and that? And then I found out, like, if you want to actually do things, you got to do it yourself. So I tried to find ways to implement it. I found other people who are talented, who are programmers, and we tried to work together. And I gave them the ideas, and other people, they scripted that, and then we presented that to Percy, and then Percy accepted those ideas, and then they were put into the game. So that's kind of how it worked. And now I've been doing it for so long, I've just kind of gotten pretty close with all the people and the developing team, and so we're pretty good now. Percy team is pretty big now. Before it was just Percy by himself doing everything, but now it's more than that.
How many of you are there developing Percy?
What? I didn't hear that.
How many of you are there developing Percy?
Um, like there's like about 10 scripters. There's Percival18, who's the owner and creator of the game. Then there's Steel Darky Angel, who is also a moderator. He's basically the Percy's second in command. He's like the moderator in the forum, and he's been doing lots of development as well. He's a and Then there's the AI person, Snarky, and then there's Eerie Code, who makes the beta cards every time when a new card comes out. Um, we have he scripts them as soon as possible, and they get added to the game. So we have a lot of people and a lot of help. Yeah.
What's your exact role in it?
I guess I'm the PR guy. I manage the teams and the scripters. I have my own GitHub, and then just kind of like make sure everybody is on track and on the right direction. and I communicate with different Yu-Gi-Oh Pro teams and see what they're up to, and try to get other people to communicate with each other. Because as you know, like in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, social skills are not exactly the best thing. So I try to help people with that. Yeah, I mean, because the Yu-Gi-Oh Pro teams are pretty much divided right now, and so Discord was one way to unite them. And since then, we've been collaborating and trying to help each other with different ideas to just improve the game overall.
All right, that's cool. So, you were probably like in development, so 2014, as you said, and that's deep into DN days and stuff like that. What was that like at the time? Like, I mean, I guess it's kind of a competitor, but like not really, because they're almost like really, really different, and like people who stick by the automated systems like live and die by them, and people who love DN just, people seem to like really just take sides. But like, how did DN influence the development of YGOPro, or you know, was there
So
any
I
kind of
mean,
like interaction?
DN did not influence the development of Yu-Gi-Oh Pro because Yu-Gi-Oh Pro was created 4 years ago in 2012.
Well, maybe not the
My
creation, but I mean
Chinese,
like, just as it went along through time.
um, they were pretty separate. I don't think either of them influenced each other in any way. Um, People who are from the Yu-Gi-Oh Pro team were aware of the existence of DN, but I don't think it influenced anything because most of the code is written already, and each Yu-Gi-Oh Pro client is just a modification of the original code. So there's not many things that you can actually do to modify the code. It's just mainly the user interface and little stuff like that. But I mean, I was aware of DN's existence after Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, which is kind of weird. But I actually never knew about Dueling Network until after I was just like Googling it. I played other games that were manual simulators like Dueling Network. One of them was Duel Monsters Genesis. That was like an RPG like game, and they had tournaments and everything else, just like DN did. And there was also YCVD, YVD, or Yu-Gi-Oh Virtual Dueling.
Yeah, I've heard
I
of that
tried
one.
that
I think
too.
that's the old one people always talk about, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think even Patrick Hoban was saying that he got good at Yu-Gi-Oh because of that game. Um, so I don't know. Everybody has, I think, at one point tried online simulators. Um, it's just very easy to access, and if you want to actually practice and get good at Yu-Gi-Oh, you can duel like 100 times in a day online than you can when in real life trying to go drive to a card shop and try to find 100 different players. So it's just convenient to have an online dueling system. But yeah, like I mean, I played DN I tried it, but I just everyone has differences. Some people like the manual system because it simulates real life. Because in real life, the rulings are not automated. You have to know what you're doing and have the ability to catch your opponent from like following the rulings properly and all of that, shuffling your cards properly. And so it's a good way for real life duelists to prepare for tournaments or events. But in other ways, Yu-Gi-Oh Pro or any automated simulator, it helps because shuffling is automated. It uses the Fisher-Bates algorithm, which is the best shuffling algorithm. You're not going to get some guy drawing an extra card when you're not looking. People commit to moves. Like if I set a monster, I'm not going to change my mind and say, "Oh, I meant summon." Like it's just different. So it's not like if you wanted to create a system um, that ensures that everyone is following the rulings and there's no cheating involved, and there's no judge that's actually watching each player, then I think automated is a little bit better. But obviously, manual simulators have their advantages too, like I said, for preparing for real life.
So, did you guys ever consider adding some kind of like manual kind of
Manual mode?
system? Yeah, like just maybe giving it as an option or something like that somewhere down the line, or was this ever talked about?
Currently it's in development. There's the
Okay, we
Salvation
can
team.
save that for after because I do want to talk about the future um, near the end. But that's cool that we've got that there. So just anyone watching at this stage, there are some cool, like not really announcements, but some tidbits of knowledge about the future of online simulators that we're gonna mention near the end. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, where was I going with this? Currently, there is. Damn, I lost my train of thought. Where are we going? Oh yeah, so you said that you were just kind of want to get stuff done yourself, and you were kind of like PRing for persons and things like that. What things have you been personally responsible for that were added to YGOPro?
Well, like I created the HQ project, which is like a project to create digital card picks. Right now, it's currently the highest quality digital card picks for Yu-Gi-Oh on the net. So for a long time, Yu-Gi-Oh Pro clients, they use default pictures that were like really small, 177 by 254 pixels. So whenever you played in a higher resolution, like full screen or something, it didn't look good. It was always pixelated and stuff. So I just took the time to create better pictures, and it's all automated. So I can make 8,200 cards in like good quality in 3 hours using a program. So that creates it for any language or style. So that now we're kind of like that project is there for it can be used for any Yu-Gi-Oh Pro really. Then there was other dual formats, dual modes that I helped add. One of them was Boss Duel. For a long time, people were thinking like, hey, there's no way we can add Boss Duel into Yu-Gi-Oh Pro without changing some core programming or whatever. So I said, okay, why don't we just change the add this using a script? And so I said, okay, yeah, that's possible. So scripters came, and then they scripted the Boss Duel card. And now we have Boss Duels in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. And Boss Duels are it's a special event in Japan where only card shop owners, they become the bosses, and they get to, do a boss duel. So it's like an official format in Japan. But otherwise, like if you were a regular real life player in US or Europe, or you wouldn't have any chance to ever play Boss Duel. So that's one thing that uh, you can bring into Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, is to provide other formats that otherwise players would never have an opportunity to play. Then there's Speed Duels, that was part of Duel Links, that new game that just came out for the mobile. Speed Duels is now in Yu-Gi-Oh Pro. Then there's Turbo Duels, which is like in the 5Ds anime where you can use speed spell cards. That was already in the game, but we added some other stuff like action duels and command duels. Then there's also seal duels and booster draft. So seal duels and booster draft, those are actually part of your local card shop. When you go there, they have special events where people just pick up random booster packs, and those random booster packs become your deck. So people duel with a random deck just by opening booster packs. And that's something that's really cool, because it eliminates any chance of like one guy overpowering another guy because he has better cards or a meta deck, because everyone has the same chances of opening the same booster packs. So that's all of these little different formats were added into Yu-Gi-Oh Pro with the help of other scripters, and I just kind of gave them those ideas and found those formats for them. then I also corrected like a lot of the effects and rulings. Other than that, that's basically what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another thing that was pretty huge in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, one of the biggest landmarks ever, was the whole cease and desist order. Now, the online platforms managed to survive that. DN, on the other hand, wasn't very lucky. F's in the chat for DN. Rip. What exactly happened with the cease and desist thing? If you want to just give us a breakdown of like what happened, why that occurred,
Well, I
and
mean,
how it
I think you
affected.
talked about this before on your channel. I actually gave you some graphs to show before, but I
Yeah.
mean, it was C and D was sent by a party. I mean, for DN that was NAS, and basically an internal decision was made to discontinue DN. And I'm not, I'm not part of the DN staff, so I can't really comment more on that. And for YGOPro, it was mostly like the download links contained copyrighted material, which are the pictures of the cards. So that was just removed. The download link is removed from the website, but the game itself is fine. The server is fine. And the source code is fine because you can't copyright a server or source code for that.
So the reason was that DN got taken down because it was hosting copyrighted images, whereas you guys just have it downloaded for personal use, and because it's not actually hosted.
It was mainly browser-based games. So DN is a browser-based Yu-Gi-Oh game. And Yu-Gi-Oh Pro also had a browser-based game. Like Yu-Gi-Oh Chrome was actually a browser-based game. So, browsers are easily accessible, and anyone can play it, and then they have the card pictures on them. So, it's up to the company to decide who owns the copyright, whether they want to do the copyright strike or not. So some things are permissible and some things are not. So they decided, most likely, this is just an opinion of mine. It doesn't mean that that's what actually happened, but it's most likely that because it's a browser-based game and it's accessible to everyone, they found that that it threatens their business, so they had to copyright strike that. There's lots of other websites and games that use copyrighted images, but nobody copyright strikes them because it actually helps the business and market to grow the game. So people actually buy more Yu-Gi-Oh cards by having those games being advertised. But in this case, I guess it wasn't. So it's up to the company to decide whether or not they want to do something about it.
So why do you think they did something about DN but couldn't really escalate it with YGOPro?
Same reason. Yu-Gi-Oh Pro is not. It's a server. It's not on browser, and it doesn't have the copyrighted images anymore.
Right.
It's not. So DN is not downloadable. It's on a browser.
Okay, fair enough. One thing I always wanted to ask though is like for the YGOPro app, how come you need to install that thing in such a really convoluted roundabout way? How come it's not just...
What do you mean?
Well, you have to download this installer, and then you have to download the pictures separately for the installer. So how come you can't just like go in the app store and download it? Is it for the same reason, because it would be hosted on like a kind of public kind of server accessible to anyone?
Are you talking about Yu-Gi-Oh Lite for iOS?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the same thing. Yu-Gi-Oh Lite doesn't contain any pictures because they're copyrighted, so you have to get the picture separately. And so if it wants to be approved in an app store, it can't contain pictures. So it has to be convoluted because of that.
Alright, okay, that makes sense. So I'm assuming there's nothing that can actually be done to like stop YGOPro, quote unquote.
I mean, not to my knowledge right now. Nope.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Well, so moving on a bit to um, some features and stuff. Uh, you've got some plans coming for the future of YGOPro. Do you want to share some of that with us?
Sure. Like I can't reveal too much, but there's each Yu-Gi-Oh Pro team has their own designs and plans for upgrades. So like we're trying to find a way to integrate the Discord server into Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, so that the logins for Discord actually correspond to the server's logins. So I don't know if that will be successful or not. And like you were talking about the manual mode. Some people are working on that. There's the original Chinese Yu-Gi-Oh Pro team might be working on the manual mode, and then there's also Salvation team also working on that. Um, then I mean I've recently created a website for rankings and tournaments, which are automated. A lot of people have been hosting tournaments on Yu-Gi-Oh, and they use the challenge website for that. That it generates brackets and stuff. But those tournaments usually they don't have a good ranking system. So we found a way to basically import the data from challenge and create a rank list automatically onto a website. Um, and it uses a true skill rating system, which is actually one of the best rating systems in the world. It's created by Microsoft. Um, in the past, people have been using the ELO rating system. The ELO rating system was invented like in 1939, and it's used by chess organizations. Even Konami, if the actual leaderboard for all of the players in the world, they have a global ranking system, and that ranking system uses ELO. So ELO is outdated though, and it got replaced by other. So the Checkmate server also uses TrueSkill now. It used to use ELO. And so yeah, there's some other upgrades that might be coming up, like spectating a duel after it has already started, um, and you know, a little things like that. There's also some. I'm sure people have heard of Yu-Gi-Oh 3D. There's more development on that. So Yu-Gi-Oh 3D will be. It's pretty much finished. It's probably going to be launched soon in December, and it'll be more stable. And other the same Yu-Gi-Oh Pro teams will probably make their own versions of Yu-Gi-Oh 3D, and there'll be again like maybe 5 different versions of Yu-Gi-Oh 3D. Um,
See, that's something I was super excited about because I was actually going to ask you about that next. Was Yu-Gi-Oh 3D, because it's basically like Hearthstone-esque with like all the animations and the art style and the palettes. It was like, it's just like playing Hearthstone. It looks really really professional and well done. So you
yeah,
guys have been working on that, you say, and it's
no,
pretty.
we haven't been working on that. It's actually the original Chinese Yu-Gi-Oh Pro team that made Yu-Gi-Oh Pro. They are working on that, and the name has changed from Yu-Gi-Oh 3D to Yu-Gi-Oh Pro 2. And yeah, it's actually the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh Pro 2 or Yu-Gi-Oh 3D. He used Hearthstone as one of the models to create the game. So Hearthstone is kind of like his way to compare if it's good or not. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, people at any time when a new game comes out, people have to get used to it. Like even when I tried Yu-Gi-Oh 3D for a while, I was like, hey, this is too many animations. I need an off button for these animations. But I've gotten used to it now, and I think it's actually not bad. So, but some people will still prefer Yu-Gi-Oh Pro 1, and that's just fine. I mean, it's just the way it is. Like any new game comes out, anything new comes out in general, it's human nature. Not takes time for human nature to accept new things. So we'll see how that goes.
Um, you guys haven't been directly working with YGO 3D. But you know, you've been contacting them and stuff like that. What's the plan for like implementing it across here? So like when it officially like drops for us, I mean, what does that mean when you say drops for us? Because surely the Chinese will release it in their own region, you know, for like in their platform, and I'm assuming it has to go through like a well, not recoding process, but you guys essentially
It's
have
just an
to.
English translation. It's just an English translation. We've already translated to English. It's not hard to change it into English because all you do is you change the card database from Chinese to English, and you just change a couple of strings like the menu and other things. You just change it to English. So there's already an English translation that's already done. So that's not a big deal. Um, it's mostly when the game is actually launched, the source code will be available, and then people are going to be like, um, each YGOPro team might be wanting to make their own version again, just like they did with the original YGOPro.
So what exactly is like the plan then? So it's not officially out yet, but when it does come out, you guys are just going to, you know, put it through this, you know, the Percy process of bringing it to the TCG for us, and then, you know, reassembling the strings or whatever, and doing the translations as necessary, and then it's ready. Is that how it works?
Pretty much. I mean, the original Chinese developers are still working on several things. So when they feel it's ready to launch, then they'll launch it, and then it will be public. But I mean, in terms of translations and all that stuff, that's done already. Only a few people have the beta right now.
So it's actually in beta just now, right? And is it
Yeah,
like an open testing thing, or is it like it's kind of like an
no,
internal
it's
friends
very
and family
closed.
alpha?
Kind of, yeah. It's just a very closed group right now.
Okay, cool. And how finished is it? I mean, you said like it'll probably be out next month. I mean, do you have like an idea of when we'll expect to see that?
Maybe the second week of December.
Maybe December. Okay, boys, you've heard it here. Maybe December. um, and I'm assuming that when it does come out, you know, people will have the option to use just like YGO Pro Percy One, and then they'll
Mhm.
like, is there plans to just have them still connected through Checkmate
It's
or?
all the same server, so you can play Yu-Gi-Oh Pro 1 or you can play Yu-Gi-Oh Pro 2 and still be connected to the same server, so it won't matter. Like I've been on Checkmate with Yu-Gi-Oh Pro 2, and I've been dueling other people in Checkmate with Yu-Gi-Oh Pro 2 just fine. Nobody notices that I'm using Yu-Gi-Oh Pro 2 or anything, so it's fine. I mean, what it matters is the server that you're connected to, which is Checkmate. Checkmate is connected to all the other Yu-Gi-Oh pros that universalizes uh, the dueling. So I mean, for example, you have the Chinese Yu-Gi-Oh pros, you have the English Yu-Gi-Oh pros. That's a total user base of more than at least 4,000 players, and um, they're all dueling on the same server. That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough, and I'm pretty excited for that. Um, when YGO Pro 2 drops, I mean, do you guys essentially just stop continuing
No,
the?
no. We everyone's still. I mean, the development for Yu-Gi-Oh Pro One is still going to be around because I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Fun is people have been working on that for a long time now. So, um, and like I said, some people will prefer Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro One even after Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Two comes out. So it's just not going to be like um, it's going to stop just for the new one.
Mm,
It's like DN versus Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. People still prefer manual simulators versus automatic. So it doesn't mean that one is going to replace the other. Both are going to just
why
coexist.
would it not replace the other? I mean, it's still like the exact same mechanically. It's just, I mean, as far as I can see, it's just animations that's different. So what?
Yeah, but there's no way to really turn off those animations. So some people might get annoyed by excessive animations, and so they might not want it.
Okay, so what is there to really do though? If you when 3D comes out, when it comes to YGO Pro One, like what exactly has to be maintained? I mean, surely it's just updating the cards as they come out and new scripts, for new mechanics, but surely that could just be transferred over simply from 3D to one. So I mean, surely it's not like a lot of work involved with maintaining.
It's exactly the same except for the animations. So all those card scripts will all work the same way they did in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro 1. Mechanics and rulings will work exactly the
Yeah.
same way they did in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro 1.
So,
Everything will work exactly the same way in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro 1. Only difference is eye candy.
yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. So it's essentially gonna be like fairly effortless to maintain YGO Pro 1.
Yeah.
Okay, that's simple then. Um, there was one last thing I wanted to ask as well before we uh, come to the end. If anyone in the chat is really curious and wants to like ask about the ins and outs of YGO Pro and what we can expect or anything about the program itself, yeah, please free to ask in the chat now. We'll go to a Q&A really soon, so please ask something productive. Don't ask how the Blackwing matchup is or whatever. But anyway, I wanted to ask, so just for me personally, like I really enjoyed DN because of the fact that you could kind of just like jump in and because obviously it's a browser, you don't need to like download anything, you just go anywhere, wherever, you just log in, that's it. Obviously that's not going to be doable anymore because of the copyright strike, unfortunately, so I mean, whatever. Can't really stop that because Konami have decided that's the best thing to do. But another advantage I felt
we don't know if it's Konami actually because it was NAS, right? So
well, yeah, I guess that's right, true. But yeah, regardless, we can't reverse that. That's probably just going to be that way for the foreseeable future. But I just wanted to say that like one of my favorite things on DN was just being able to test really well on DN. So if I like just open like a new room with like my friend, we just join each other's room, and then we can both play at the same time, like literally just play at the same time, and do test hands against each other, and like we can set up game states. The only annoying thing about DN was the fact that the animations and like the shuffling animations, like you were actually clicking faster than the animations were finishing, so it kind of was like really slow to like test sometimes. But it was like still kind of better than YGO Pro because like you can't really test on YGO Pro when it comes to things like adding a card from your deck to your hand or taking back a misplay and actual like testing like for a YCS that you'd want to do.
Oh, I mean, that's the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. You have to commit to your moves, so you can't take back a misplay. If you misplayed, you have to commit to that misplay and keep going. So I mean, there is an AI mode in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. So if you want to test hands, it's not difficult to do that. You can even just go to the deck editor and hit the shuffle button, and it'll randomize all the cards, and the first 5 cards will be your hand. So it just shuffles your hand each time, so you can see what your hand will be each time. And
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, the only thing is like, you can't take back a misplay, and if you can't, 2 players can't play at the same time, like you have turns. So that's just because those are the rules. That's how it's programmed to be that way.
I mean, obviously it makes sense from like an actual competitive duel standpoint, but I mean, do you think maybe we'd have some kind of like test mode in the future where you can just like join with a friend and it's not ranked and it's no score or anything like that? You can just join in and then like maybe there'll be like a reset button where you just click and it just like shuffles back in your deck and draws you a new hand or something like that, just purely for testing purposes. I mean, surely you guys have like kind of thought about some kind of like test mode of sorts at all? No?
There's so many different things that people are working on right now. I mean, Percy works very hard, and all the other developers from all the other teams work very hard. They're paying for these servers themselves. They don't actually get any profit from all this stuff. So I mean, all these new features and ideas, when people ask for them, they need to have like some sort of idea of how to implement them. And the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro code is very rigid and fixed. So there's very few things that people can modify or change. The only thing you can do is ask the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro team to add things like that. So the manual mode is something that has been requested to the original YGOPro team, so they have considered it. But it's the same thing. Like, it's up to them whether they want to add it or not. Once it's added, then every other YGOPro can have it.
So all
it takes is one YGOPro team to actually make it. Once it's there, then everyone else can have it too, as long as the code is open sourced.
And do you think that's something that's going to be continuing for the foreseeable future? Is you guys will all sort of working within your teams, but you'll be working kind of universally between each other with open source, and by allowing each other to just have access to like each other's codes and stuff like that, rather than being competitive. Instead, just be like really, what's the word? Just mutually benefiting each other.
Well, we're kind of doing that already. The thing is that not all of the code is open sourced. Some of it is closed source, and people have good reasons for closing their source, because if you work really hard to create something, you spend years on it, and you open the source and somebody just takes that, puts it in their game, what benefit is it for you? Like, unless that someone can take it and make it better. So it's really up to the person whether they want to open source it completely or not. Most of the game is open source, but there's always like individual parts that people close source, and that's fine. That's not going to change, I think.
What kind of stuff is closed source?
Well, the AI is closed source.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right now, the most advanced AI is right now in the YGOPro Percy. I mean, AI makes mistakes, but just imagine trying to make an AI to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not easy, right? Like, we have so many different AIs in the world. For example, the chess, like, people had made AIs to beat the world chess champion. That's how good the AI is for chess. And then, for other games, people have made AIs. There was actually a game called Go, G-O. It's played on a board game. And for the longest time, nobody was able to create an AI to beat a top-ranking Go player, until very recently. This year, Google just created an AI to beat a top Go player. So that's a huge advancement of AI technology. It's just like Terminator. but like, yeah, AI is always going to be one of those things that that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how good it will be. It might eventually like be good enough to the point where it doesn't just activate every card possible. I feel like that's what it does currently. It just activate every card when it like flashes.
Well, the thing is that if you give it a random deck, then there's no script for it to know how to use that deck. So what we can do is we create individual scripts for a specific deck, and then the AI knows how to use that deck. So when you open YGOPro, it says AI underscore, and then it shows the name of the deck. So if you use those decks, the AI will actually make less mistakes. But if you give it like a random deck that you made, then the AI has no idea how to use it, so it'll use its default programming, and it might just activate all the cards and do everything, right? So that's how you have to do it. I mean, chess is easy. Chess, all the pieces are always the same. A horse will always move the same way. A pawn will always move the same way. So it's very fixed. So you can make an AI for chess actually simpler than AI for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. So anyway, off to the questions now. So I see a few people have asked quite a few things. Feel free to keep asking. We're probably going to be here for another like 10 minutes or so. But yeah, someone's asking where and how can we submit glitches to YGOPro? It's on the forum.
Just go to the Discord group. There's everything is in the Discord group. I created the Discord group this year, like in April, even before like everything happened. But the Discord has everyone in one place, and so you can report bugs. You can also go to the YGOPro.co forum and report bugs there. Most of the bugs, I have to say though, are not really bugs, but just a misunderstanding of rulings. About 99% of the bugs.
How many posts and like submissions do you guys get where it's like, oh, this card's bugged? It's like, no, actually, you just can't fucking do that.
A lot. That's why we're like, are you sure that's a bug? And then I know it just takes time, and then we have to prove that this is a ruling. Most of the old cards, like all the way from, when Yu-Gi-Oh was created from 2004 to all the way to 2015, those cards are usually not bugged. It's usually the cards that just came out, like the OCG cards that just came out. Those are the beta cards. Those cards will be bugged, because sometimes the rulings are, we get the rulings from like they're written in Japanese, so somebody has to translate that into proper PSCT, and then someone has to interpret that and then script the card. So if the translation is wrong, then the rulings will be wrong. And even after the translation is right, maybe the interpretation can be wrong. So, and you don't know what the rulings are until they are released. So the OCG rulings have a FAQ. TCG rulings don't have a FAQ. And like when we're confused about something, we can just email the OCG office and they'll respond to us and tell us how the card actually works. And then we just script it and fix it. So, I mean, it's a pretty good, like, reliable system that we have. That's one of the reasons why Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro uses OCG rulings. But
so
yeah,
it seems
TCG
like because OCG are actually helpful, so you guys can actually script the rulings a lot easier and more efficiently.
Yeah, I mean, we can contact the TCG office too, but most of the time when we have actually complicated questions, the guy in the TCG office doesn't know what the answer is. So he's like, I might have to ask the OCG office or something like that. So I don't know. It's that's why OCG rulings are just a little bit more reliable. But we are trying to work on adding TCG rulings. Some Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro teams are trying to do that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we know that a lot of the player base is TCG. That's one of the other reasons to play manual simulators that people. I understand why people played DN is because the rulings, like your region, like if you're in Europe, has different rulings than if you were playing in the United States or Canada for TCG, because TCG rulings can change from region to region or from even judge to judge. So people want to use the rulings that they were used to in their own local place. And in DN, you could do that. But in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, all the rulings are fixed. So you can't just, make up your own ruling and use it. And there's also SEGOC, simultaneous effects go on chain. That operates differently in TCG than in OCG. And currently in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, the SEGOC is for OCG, not for TCG. So that's another thing. So that's why it's sometimes for TCG players, maybe it's not the best simulator for that, because they're not actually using TCG rulings.
The only issue that I ever came across with bugs or whatever, I mean, it was 99% of the time it was never a bug. It was just fucking me not knowing rulings. But sometimes like the little boxes that, the confirmation boxes, like, do you want some in this, yes, no, sometimes that will just stay up, even though like the action's already happened. So it's like, do you want some in this, click yes, and then the box will stay there. That's the only thing I've
just
ever
right
experienced.
click. You can just right click and the box will go away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just right click.
Right click, boys, you got it. Okay, let's see, next question. Where are we? What happens if someone is on a YGOPro 1 and gets annoyed if they're playing their friend on 2 and have to wait for all their animations? I'm sure, I don't think that's an issue. I mean, the animations are probably like the same speed, aren't they?
The guy who made Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro 2 is really smart. So he made it so that there's no delay in time for animations. They happen exactly at the same time, so that there's no lag added from adding the animations at all.
All right, that's perfect.
I mean, if your computer is like a potato, then maybe.
My question is, why do servers on YGOPro keep going down constantly? I think that's DevPro, not Percy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. YGOPro Percy servers have been up for like 24/7. I haven't seen them going down. Checkmate sometimes goes down, and yeah, DevPro is doing some development right now, so that's the only reason it's down. I mean, it's going to be up soon, and then it'll be back to normal.
Yeah. Do you think there should be more of a manual on how to use these functions, which are only really spread by word of mouth? It's actually a really good question. Like, there's so many things in YGOPro that I had no idea you could do. Like, so when a box comes up saying, like, do you want to do this action? Like, you kind of have to think for a second. Wait, I need to see my opponent's graveyard. And like, for the longest time, I didn't know that you could just press F5 and you get your opponent's graveyard and stuff like that, or F1 for your own graveyard, and then like F3 for your extra deck and stuff like that. Why? How come there isn't just like a how-to, like, little book thing that you can just
There's kind of like a guide on the YugiPro.co website, but I guess people don't go there.
Mm.
But yeah, there is a guide. It's been written for a long time. I mean, I don't even use the F keys. I just click on the graveyard.
Well, the thing is, you can't click on the graveyard like in the middle of an action.
Yeah, I mean,
You have to use the keybinds.
like, yeah, I mean, in those cases, yeah, that's fine. Like, but if you know what your opponent is going to play and you know what kind of cards or deck they have, you should kind of already know what's in the graveyard. But yeah, that's fine. You just use the F keys for that. And there's all there. I guess someone can make maybe a video on explaining all these different things. People have tried
Hint, hint.
making videos.
Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, I mean,
So let's see. How many staff are there on the various teams?
oh, I don't know. I should also just point out that everything I'm saying is kind of like
Percy
from
perspective. Yeah.
my perspective and opinion. So I don't represent the opinions and perspectives from all the other teams, and even Percy team. You know, Percy has his own opinions and perspectives, so I don't represent everything that's going on there. So I mean, everyone. I don't know how many staff members there are for each team. There's about probably like 10 to 20 each. You know.
Next question. When a new card is released, do you need to code how that card possibly interacts with every other card, or does the program have some broad restrictions? Example, MST won't negate this monster's effect, etc.
Yeah, so I mean, the program already has built-in rulings for how it interacts with every other card. We only need to script the part of how it interacts, like that card itself. We just need to script that part. Everything else is already scripted.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Da-da-da. How do you update YGOPro to latest ban list and card pool according to OCG? I mean, I believe the Percy client just automatically downloads, right?
Yeah, I mean, every time a new ban list comes out, we just put the ban list on GitHub, and it just updates it automatically.
Yep. And for anything else, you can just go on the Discord if you need anything else updated, like card pictures or whatever.
For card pictures, it's automatically downloaded from in YugiPro. So even if you have no card pictures, because right now, you know, if you download YugiPro without any card pictures, it's probably like less than 10 megabytes or something like that. It's it's not 10 megabytes, but probably it's less than 50 megabytes. The whole program without pictures, so it's really small. And when you open it for the first time, that's when it starts to update. It automatically updates and downloads all the pictures. So you don't really need to download pictures by yourself. But if you want to improve the quality of your pictures, then yeah, you need the HP project or something else.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think that's gone through all the questions. I think I've asked everything I want to ask. Is there
Cool.
any other final comments or something, or anything like that you'd like to mention?
Not really. It's just my goal is eventually, like, I'm not a huge competitive player, but I do love online Yu-Gi-Oh, and I hope that eventually the online Yu-Gi-Oh community will be united in a way that will have some tournaments, um, regular tournaments that are hosted on a website and then ranked according to proper ranking. And I'm working on that right now, and hopefully in the future that will get established. Because right now we have a lot of different Yu-Gi-Oh pros, and we have people can play online any different way, but there's really no good solid ranking system or for tournaments or anything like that. So I do want to kind of work on that.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. I think something like organized tournaments and like leagues and that kind of stuff would be pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, so
Go on.
I've actually talked with former DN tournament organizers, and I've recruited almost all of them. So they are helping me out with creating a website for that. It'll be similar to the Dueling Network forums, but with more stuff relating to Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro.
Okay. I guess that does it for this episode, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, getting an insight into the development and ins and outs of our dueling platform, which we've had for a good few years now. Like I said, if you have any issues with YGOPro, go on the Discord channel, which I'll leave in the description down below. Have a look, and you'll find everything there, from downloads of the client to the high quality project which AntiMetaman has been working on. There's links to like everything, and it's kind of just where the go-to place is to talk to other
Yeah, and they should know that there's also Discord groups for every other Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro team. There's even Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization on Discord, and there's so many people on Discord. The entire Wikia is also on Discord, so you can talk to artists, you can talk to programmers, developers, judges. These are judges that have actually judged in the Worlds or Asian World Championships. I mean, there's everybody is on Discord.
Yep, exactly. So I'll leave that link in the description, guys, and you can check it out. And this has been another episode of the History of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, and this player has been AntiMetaman, telling us about YGOPro. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.